We're back with another episode of the Overwatch Hot Takes. My name is KarQ. Let's see what you guys cooked up this week. Remember to leave more hot takes in the comments as well, hopefully in reference to the new season or whatever the devs are cooking up in the upcoming seasons, because they've teased a little bit. Well, they gave you a little foreshadowing that they're going to be doing some big stuff. But here we go. Hot take, 90% of the games where people say tank or support diff, it's actually a DPS diff. Every time someone says that, I see them play like they are still in gold, staying right behind the tank and not trying to take angles or peel for the support, which they are the only role that is flexible enough to do that consistently. I might have had a stroke reading that. My God, maybe that was my bad, but you're not wrong. I don't know about 90%, but a lot of people will just normally say diff or tank, support, DPS diff, whatever on the person who's performing the worst based on the scoreboard specifically, whether they have really low elims to death ratio, really low damage, really low healing. I would say it's not that deep. This is just like all game chatter just to kind of like project onto what went wrong in the game. At the end of the day, who really cares? But you're not wrong. A lot of the DPS players in your average ranks aren't going to be playing optimally. They're not going to be taking the angles that you would expect them to in a lot of cases. And your tank probably isn't tanking the way you'd expect them to. Maybe they're not moving up at all. And maybe your supports are also not healing because they're whiffing all their Ana shots. To be honest, it's kind of hard to tell. There's a lot of things going wrong in your average gold game. And this is just this is another example of you also just pinpointing that it's specifically the DPS not doing their job correctly when it could be multiple things. Many other factors. This one may be the most apparent to any actual DPS player who watches like a lot of high level play, but they are mechanically and they make bad decisions in gold. At the end of the day, you may be right, may not be 90%, it may be like, 33%, but hey, 33% of the time it's the DPS's fault, 33% of the time it could be the tank's fault, 33% of the time it could be the support's fault, but 100% of the time it's always your fault. You could always play better. You may not win 100% of your games, but you could always be improving. And if you take that away over 1,000 games and you're winning 60% of them and you get better each game, who are you comparing yourself to? Yourself. Hot take, Overwatch can actually keep the 2 because CS2 dropped and it got praised at launch when it did essentially the same thing as Overwatch. And they're still missing content that is in CSGO, and they've re-added content at a far slower pace. Yeah, this is interesting how no one has brought this up really as part of the discourse with the whole renaming of Overwatch 2 after they dropped the PvE and all that stuff. I think they deserve the name 2, but at this point, I would say they could probably even drop the 2 at this point, like walk back. And Counter-Strike should probably do the same thing. Why did they have to make it CS2? Probably some big marketing thing to kind of generate some hype, but it kind of falls flat when you don't deliver on some promises like CS. People don't really say, I'm gonna go play some CS2. They say, I'm gonna go play some CS. Or they even still say just CSGO. Who the hell says CS2? And this is the same thing with Overwatch. When people are like, I'm gonna go play some Overwatch tonight, they're not gonna specifically say, I'm gonna play some Overwatch 2 tonight. Just drop the 2 at this point. Next hot take is that DPS Doomfist would be healthy for the game currently. I don't know about that. DPS Doom had a one-shot problem, okay, with the whole rocket punch just randomly punching a squishy and then they instantly die. Do you see how people react when you get one shot by Roadhog when he's strong, or when Widowmaker is dominating the game and just one shot to you? People don't like being one shot, and the whole point of Season 9, which was February 2024, was to reduce that sort of burst damage or the prevalence of it as best as you can. So I disagree. I think DPS Doom would not be healthy for the game at this point. I actually think Tank Doom is they did a pretty good job. Like, if you ignore a lot of the bitching from certain creators or people who really main the hero, I get it though, like it's their favorite hero and like a part of like their old kit is like lost, and I get that frustration. But I think overall Tank Doom is still pretty damn fun, and maybe if we could have both versions of it, like a DPS Doom in the 6v6 mode, then you can keep them happy. But like me personally, I didn't touch DPS Doom, but I personally enjoy Tank Doom, and these Doom players love DPS Doom but hate Tank Doom, so it kind of goes both ways, Here's the spicy one. The healthiest metas to play are Poke and Brawl. While Dive is fun for the people playing it, playing against it as a non-Dive player sucks. You get thrown all over the place and it's a pain in the ass to actually shoot them. Dive comps also snowball so hard too. I like the back and forth in a match, and that's hard to achieve playing into Dive unless you are also on Dive. I don't have to swap anti-Brawl or anti-Poke when playing against the other 2 comp types. Dive is the only one that requires it. As such, Dive is fundamentally a flawed comp. To be fair, I think anything that requires you to swap to play against, whether that's a hero ability or a comp type, is unhealthy. That is certainly quite the spicy take. I disagree with this in quite a few parts here. I don't really know if I would consider this the healthiest meta, which is Poke and Brawl. I think the healthiest meta is when we get a nice mixture of all 3 archetypes. And these are archetypes that were like player defined by the community too. These are not like official titles that are like marked on the hero when you pick them as a tag or anything. Dive is fun for people playing it, and some people actually enjoy playing against Dive, believe it or not. Me personally, as a support, I hate playing against Dive when I play specific heroes like Zenyatta or like Ana Well, actually, I don't mind playing Ana against dive. Like, there's a sort of big rush you get, a big dopamine hit when you sleep like the blinking Tracer while also juking the Winston and stuff like that. So I get it though. There are times where like if that's not working and no one's helping me and I whiff my sleep, then yeah, it can be pretty miserable to play against dive specifically. And poke and brawl is a lot more front to back and less about them coming to you from your perspective, where it can be a lot more easier to manage and that can be more fun as a result. But I digress. This is sort of just your opinion, like saying it's healthy. These are the two healthiest. I think you just replace the word healthiest and be like, I just prefer to play poke and brawl and just leave it at that. I'm trying to unpack the rest of it where you like the back and forth in the match that's hard to achieve into playing dive. You still get that in dive. You can still get that playing other comps where you poke them out really hard before they can even dive in and you blow up their strategy before they can even execute. There is satisfaction in that. You don't have to play dive into dive. You can play other things. This is solo queue, right? This is not applying to like the pro meta. And even in the pro meta, like that's just how it is. They're going to try to min max and optimize the shit out of it. But in your average ranked game, average quick play game, it doesn't actually matter at all. Your execution is going to be not clean. If you're anything below like pro, even pros mess up their execution all the time. So I don't know. Saying it's a fundamentally flawed comp, disagree. It's fun. Mix it all up. You know what I mean? Hot take, I think that they should add Sombra to Stadium. This would allow players to test different concepts before the devs decide on her final rework direction for the main game. Also, Sombra deserves a mythic weapon as compensation for the constant reworks. I mean, honestly, I actually agree in the sense that they're fine to add any of the quote-unquote miserable heroes or annoying heroes to play against, frustrating heroes to play against, sorry. All three words are applicable here. You can add all of them to Stadium because everything is wacky there. Like, the strengths that shine in the base game don't necessarily shine as much in Stadium because you can just buy Giga Tank Zen and suddenly Sombra isn't gonna eat your ass like she does in like the main game, you know what I mean? As a testing ground, kind of makes sense because you can kind of try out a bunch of different powers and items on her and you can implement some of those kit aspects into the base kit or some of her perks. We saw this with Zenyatta's new perk in Season 18, where the Transcendence is now an offensive ultimate because it applies Discord Orb to anybody near him for that brief 6 seconds. Which is a pretty cool perk, honestly, and that was actually implemented first in Stadium last season or 2 seasons ago. People were like, yeah, I like this. Good take, actually. Hot take, the Ram is overhated. Fix the armor bug and tune down the Vortex perk and he will not be as broken. Well, it turns out after all the changes and reversion of the armor bug and they nerfed a bit of his HP, he's actually one of the lowest performing supports in terms of win rate, weakest performing supports in terms of win rate across many of the ranks if you check the live hero stats right now. So maybe they went overboard. All they had to do was nerf the armor or fix the armor bug and then we would have been fine because that's how he basically was for all the previous seasons. But alas, here we are. Ram is now, I wouldn't say unclickable, but he's not doing as hot compared to a hero like Hazard, whose perks this season have like made him an unbelievable outlier. He's picked in pro meta and he's starting to get banned a lot because he's super strong right now. I actually have a genuine hot take. Okay, Tracer is a horribly designed hero for a multiplayer game. She has some of the best mobility in the game, which is constant repositioning, and recall gives her full health and ammo back for simply pressing a button, all while making her intangible. No other hero has an ability like recall. People say she's always one of the best heroes in the game and then screech at the idea of her being nerfed or changed. So like, is she overtuned or not? Well, my friend, as a fellow Tracist, that's right, I'm Tracist, cancel me. I would agree. She is definitely overtuned, especially with these recent perks and changes. And like now you can see it in the flesh with the hero stats. Tracer is overperforming in all ranks. You would assume with a hero with a high skill ceiling like Tracer, she would play kind of worse in the lower ranks, but she's still performing very well in bronze, silver, gold, which is an indicator that she's quite easy to pick up. And in the sense that you can get a lot of crazy value by simply being annoying, like a little mosquito zipping around on the sides, even if you don't have perfect tracking or good tracking. She's one of the safest and only heroes and the safest heroes who can take completely different off angles at any time and pressure people at like an opportunistic hero. No other hero can do that. Genji has to commit a dash. If he doesn't get a kill, he dies. Sombra has limited time on the invisibility now, but your Tracer, you can zip around anywhere. You have the recall, you have health packs you can go to. That's why she's been meta forever. 100% she's overtuned. I am Tracist. I ban her all the time in my ranked games. She's very good in the right hands and still very annoying even in average hands. Her weakness is supposed to be that she's squishy, but giving her 175 HP instead of 150 and like melee gives her ammo now. So having 175 HP, first of all, after the HP changes makes it so like a lot of the one-shot breakpoints no longer there. So now she can just live through a lot of BS. And there's so many new things in the game that make her hard to kill. A random Wuyang ult basically gives her 500 HP, or like she gets the Wuyang stream that's like healing because there's like a 4 or 5 second forgiveness time, and Zen has 2 harmony orbs that you can just toss onto Tracer. So she just is getting crazy value this season. She's 100% overtuned. Be a Tracist like me. Hot take, I think Flashpoint should not have a dedicated starting point. I think they should randomize every point so that each time you play the map, it's a bit different. They should also add more points spread across other parts of the map. There's a ton of areas that would be amazing to fight on. And I know, yes, there would have to be adjustments to spawn locations. That's a given without needing to be said. So that means the game would have to start, as soon as the game starts, your spawn location, the map that could be like the top right point, then the spawns would already be different off the rip, right? I don't necessarily hate that idea. I think the only thing I wouldn't do is true random. I think starting on a different one would be actually an okay idea, but the caveat is the next one has to be favored to the losing team, because it is, if I'm not mistaken, it is pseudo random right now, where the next point is supposed to be slightly favored to the team that just lost the first point, or else you can just have the winning team also take a strong defensive position off the first fight, and you just get crazy swingy snowballed games, which aren't fun when you feel like you're always playing from behind. But that's about it. I'm actually okay with the starting at a different spot with the different, like those moved up spawn locations on both, as long as they're relatively equidistant and kind of tuned in that sense. I'm actually not sure on what the math and the time it takes to get to these points are from different spots, but if they're somewhat equidistant, I'm fine with starting on a different one. I already repeated myself. Moving on. Hot take, auto lock abilities need to be taken out of the game, especially in Stadium. The effort it takes to secure value is oppressive to play against and feels too easy using them. I think there's a healthy balance between some auto locking abilities. I think it's fine to have a few as long as they don't have a disproportionate amount of value to it. And then if it is, then you can slightly nerf that. But keeping the idea of auto lock is perfectly fine. Many games, many MOBAs, Deadlock, Overwatch, League of Legends, you have some point and click abilities. Or else it becomes too homogenized where everything is like a skill shot or something like that. I think it's good to have a healthy mix of both. Hot take number 3 is to piggyback the 6v6 hot take. I'm not gonna lie, when you guys comment these, you can't reference it. Unfortunately, I filmed these in random times and I don't know which one you're referencing. Or if you guys are trying to like respond to a hot take in the future takes, can you like just like re-quote it in the comments so when my editor just grabs random ones for me as I shuffle through these randomly, by the way. I don't pre-look at them. These are honest, off the top answers. These are not pre-prepared scripted stuff. Just like have a little blocky quote in reference to it and maybe add some context so I can kind of see where this is coming from. Appreciate that. Thank you. But I'll try my best here. Piggyback off the 6v6 hot take. Some heroes, especially tanks, need 6v6 balances. After playing the Hijack and Jinx arcade mode, oh god, that was a while ago, which was 5v5 tanks with lower health in a 6v6 format, some tanks actually felt better to play. For example, Queen is in 6v6 is so bad with 1.25x self-healing because it basically does no healing, and since all her perks involve healing, it makes them worse too. Some tanks are fine the way they are, but some are just so buns. Well, I guess if I just take the bulk or the point you're trying to get across in 6v6 right now where tanks need balance changes, 100% agree. I've been bitching about this for the last God knows how long. And they say they've heard me, but I don't really think they know how annoying it is that right now we still have flat HP reduction for tanks. Like they need specific balance changes here. Like they did, but they didn't. Why are we doing flat HP reduction for tanks where certain tanks like Junker Queen get shafted with minus 150 with a smaller HP pool, while heroes like Wrecking Ball or Roadhog with much larger, or Malga with much larger base HP, minus 150 on there is not as big of a jump as nerfing a 525 tank down to like 375. You know what I mean? Percentage wise, it's proportionate. Like if you're gonna like do a blanket nerf, you can do a blanket percentage nerf or literally individually tune HP for each tank. There's not that many tanks. There's like 13. You could do that, right? And while you're at it, look at the rest of the roster. But I digress. The flat HP thing for 6v6 or non-roll queue modes is absolutely, the fact that it's still here blows my mind. Blizzard, please, come on. I don't know if you made it to this far in the video, but somebody like upvote this. Just be like, yes, KarQ, I agree with you. Other modes, non-roll queue sucks when all the tanks have these weird HP pools that are just flat reductions. Like, do individual tuning. We saw how nerfing 25 HP on heroes changes their win rate dramatically. Juno going from 250 to 225, or Genji going to 225, or, you know, Lifeweaver losing 275 back down to 250. All of these HP nerfs, or Ramattra just lost like 50 or 100 HP this recent patch. HP nerfs cut win rates like crazy. Statistically, they should know this by now in the base game. So like the flat versus like percentage HP reduction in 6v6 or non-roll queue should be a no-brainer, but here we are. Okay, I'm done. being annoying. Leave some more hot takes in the comments. I'll see you guys next week or whenever I do this video. Hopefully next week. Bye.